There we go. I'll check that now.
There we go. Wait. Hello? There we go. You can hear us now. Now we got it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. People are still dying because of it. Yep. Yep. Dude, doesn't he look pinned?
Yeah. He looks pinned.
Why does he look like he's reading from a teleprompter? Trillionaires. Can you pull up the other screen? Huh? The bigger one? Oh.
Here we go.
Oh.
He forgot.
Oh. Oh. Oh shit.
It's true. That's what's happening.
This is wild. This is so wild. Did you see that?
He's lost, bro. He's so lost. His eyes are just all bugged out. He looks crazy.
It's crazy. Wow. Oh yeah, here's the gotta get to the abortion.
Joe.
Oh my god.
He's not even saying anything, and he's funny to just watch.
That's what. Yeah.
He's so loud. Look at his face. How is this guy the president of the United States?
Absolutely. Right. What? Okay. What does that have to do with abortion? What? Are you listening to this? Are they supposed to hear that audio?
They're testing and they can't. Yeah. I think I just fixed it.
Really? Where it should belong, to the people. They're gonna hammer abortion. That's all they got to run on. California can take it to full term. Really? Ooh, that'd be interesting. Oh yeah, who started that though?
What a blatant lie, bro. Like, he said 40% of them coming across legally.
I really don't know what he said at the end of this sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look,
Look at his face.
what he had to do was leave it. What he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people from mental institutions, insane asylums, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now. All terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America. All over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring in. This guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation, because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We have the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who was great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that. He endorsed me for president. Brandon, speak to him. But
Brandon.
now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming out. President Trump. President Biden. The only terrorists that they cross the border killed three under his administration, killed Al-Qaeda, or to commit at his administration.
What?
Killed three American soldiers.
What?
Killed 3 American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got there. The idea we're going to do their prison. It's simply not true. There's no doubt.
Yeah, it is.
Once again, he's exaggerating. He's lying. President Trump.
Yeah, video evidence isn't data, bro.
You said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it? Now, just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. People we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything.
I want him to
He's
say
the one that killed people with a bad word, including.
Say what?
I want him to say their names again. I love the way he says their
Al
first name.
Baghdadi.
And also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, in every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these 3 incredible young girls over the country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And we have to get a lot of these
He just
people
doesn't
out.
know.
We
He
have to
has
get them
no
out
comprehension of what's
because they're
going
gonna
on.
destroy our country.
They're trying to upload his response as it's coming in real time.
Listening, you can tell. Look at
New
him.
York City and other places.
You
Our
can see he's
veterans
studying
are
what
on the
they're
street.
saying.
They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all. And he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody
Straight
did
up.
worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved. Choice, I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down at less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by allowing all of these people to come in. It's a very sad day in America. President Biden, you have the mic. Every single thing he says is a lie. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off. That's the tax act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or Burn Pit, they're all being covered now. And he opposed his. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq. Living right next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage four.
Shouldn't have brought him up.
I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke to those heroes that died. I went to the World War II cemetery, which cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his four-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go on because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
Oh.
President Trump?
Tough guy.
First of all, that was a made-up suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in the third-rate magazine, The Sailing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taking better care. I'm so glad this came up, and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking.
One of the agents is this lady's husband or ex-husband, I think.
Oh, really?
Yep.
The laptop
One of the narrators.
John Bass?
That came from his son,
moderator.
It wasn't Russia disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now. Star General standing your side was on your staff. He said you said it. Period. That's number one.
Who's that? Millie?
The idea that I have to apologize to you for anything. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history.
Well,
American history. And they now are their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home. Family, and equip them when they go to war.
How about the 13 soldiers that died when you were pulling out of Afghanistan?
Doing more veterans than ever before in our history. All right, thank you so much.
For the foreign policy.
Yeah, her husband is one of the 51 agents.
Ukraine, which is now
Checks
in its
out.
third year.
Yep.
Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him.
Preaching truth, though.
That we've ever had. They can't stand him. Well, let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, a president that knew, that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals like I fired the one that you mentioned. And so he's got no love lost. But he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan. Well, we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, "You know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take my." This was his dream. I talked to him about it. His dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything.
Hamas.
No money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all
Terra.
during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him. President Biden, you ever heard so much malarkey in my whole life?
Malarkey. That's how you know he's old as shit.
Iran attacked American troops, killed or caused brain damage for a number of these troops. And he did nothing about it. He was president. Here they attacked. He said they're just having headaches.
Oh, he said it. All right.
Number two, we got over 6,000 and others out of Afghanistan during that era. Number three,
How'd that go?
found ourselves in a situation
Not so
where,
good.
if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want, and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did. But Putin encouraged him, do whatever you want. And he went in. This is what he said when he went in. We would take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? It was part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish. Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He didn't enable to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops. 500,000 troops.
Oh my.
President Trump,
I never said that.
Just for 1 minute, I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Even the territory in Ukraine?
Acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. We had a leader in this war. He led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly.
True.
And I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
You have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece of all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? You think he'll stop when he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens with those? What do you think happens with those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, by the way, all that money we give Ukraine.
He's never said he wants to reestablish old Russia. That's not what he was saying.
Not the money at this point. And our NATO allies produce as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council, straight through the G7, to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan they put forward. Which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is treating the hostages, a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of continuous loss. Everyone understand that we're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened in Israel? The only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. They're providing Israel all the weapons they need and when they need them. By the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran when they had a full kind of ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No Israel was accidentally killed, and it's stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so that's they're two different things.
It's just it's killing Trump not to be able to rebut right away.
How they can get him off if we did them wrong. We don't have to do it. By the way, they've been greatly weakened him. Greatly weakened him. He should be. He should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful with using certain weapons in population centers. Go back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together spent $100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them? So you got to put up your money like I did with NATO. I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yep, that's true.
Of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any money going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting one. You got to ask these people to put up the money.
No, American taxpayers are paying for it.
Impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them as far as Israel and us. Israel's the one that wants good. He said the only one that wants to keep going is the last. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden, you have a minute.
Never heard so much foolishness. This is the guy who wants to get out of NATO. You're going to stay in NATO? You're going to come out of NATO. The idea that we have our strength lies in our alliances as well. Maybe a big ocean. If we're ever able to avoid a war in Europe, a major war in Europe, what happens if, in fact, you have continue to go into NATO? We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. We're going to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about. Go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine.
Meanwhile, he's parked right down the street from us.
Yep.
With some nuclear submarines.
Right off the Miami coast.
By the way, I got 50 other nations around the world to support Ukraine.
I hope he says that part.
Japan, South Korea, because they understand this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole nation. No major war has ever been able to contain just to you.
President Trump, just to follow up, do you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I have to see, but before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I make great trade deals with the European nations. Because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Our economy is about the same size as the United States. And they want no cars, they don't want anything that we have. We're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can
play
games with
they depend on us to be the world police.
Put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said,
and it's our taxpayers that pay for everything.
No, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question. Would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time? And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next month. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump,
Try talking right now.
About January 6, 2021, after you rallied your supporters that day.
Okay.
Stormed the Capitol to stop
this happened almost 4 years ago, people. But let's bring it up again.
As President, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great voter. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people. What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath for your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that
He said peacefully and patriotically march to the Capitol.
I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, one tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard.
And they denied that, but it turns out to be false. He actually did do it.
In writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? That's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down.
Yep.
And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged no social contact.
Oh, my God.
Oh.
I sat in the dining room off the wall. She sat there for 3 hours. 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues who were as well to do something, call for stop, to end it. Instead, he talked about the 50 patriots and the great patriotism of America. In fact, he says he'll not forgive me. And if he's convicted, he says he wants to commit their sentences and say that, he went to every single nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases before the Supreme Court. They said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He didn't do a damn thing. And these people should be in jail. And they should be held accountable. He wants to go along. And now he's got to do it again.
Bro. It's hard to watch.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump? What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities, so you go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there, with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all the, they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that. They saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so peacefully patriotic. One other thing, the Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans.
Ryan Adam Kinzinger.
Out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right.
Yeah, they deleted evidence.
And destroyed all of the information.
Right.
They should go to jail for that.
Yep.
If a Republican did that, they go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on the stage is a convicted felon with man on the
They were waiting for that one.
Yeah.
Bro. They couldn't wait to use that shit.
The fact is that no effort on his part to stop what was going on in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody, just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks, turned over statues. The idea that those people are patriots, come on,
man.
The two debates we had first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'm
here we
going
go
to stand
again.
by. The idea he's refusing to denounce these guys, denounce the people we're talking about now, denounce the people who attack that Capitol. What are you going to do?
This is so stupid.
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump. 34 felonies last month. You said if reelected, you would have every right to go after your opponents. You just talked about members of the select committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your opponent?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. When he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let
buried the laptop story.
Lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor because you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's
just for that.
I'm not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, coming right to you, sir. You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Here comes the favoritism.
Yeah.
Outrageous. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against anybody just because you're president is wrong.
He didn't say he was going to. He didn't say he was going to.
Number three, we're still charged with, think about the civil penalty. $40 billion you want civil penalty? Having sex with
That's not a crime.
when your wife was pregnant. I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy
I love that
American
label.
democracy.
MAGA Republicans. That's so funny.
Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
What they know about what he's done, yes. What they know about what he's done. And he's not more, he's got a lot of cases now coming in. He's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the jury will do, but I do know he has a real problem. And so the fact that, could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? You ever heard any president say that I thought I had some good ideas? You can't be involved in the first place. That's my son decided in Iraq, because of Iraq. I said I wasn't going to run again until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas, torches, and seeing this anti-Semitic file they signed back in Germany. They went to the young woman who spoke to them. They asked him, they said, what do you think of those people? People, one's got one who tried to stop it, and the one he said, I think the 9 people. What American president would ever say?
They're digging, bro.
Oh yeah.
They're digging.
Yeah.
Trying to get whatever they can.
Yeah. They're banking on the racist motive again. It's not gonna work.
Which is played out. Everyone knows it.
Yeah.
He didn't win the black vote for nothing, bro. That racist shit is played out. It's embarrassing.
President Trump. Jake, both of you know that story has been totally wiped out. Because when you see the
Look at his face.
100% exoneration on this, so he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his
This is
last
so
chance.
freaking awesome.
He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's, without question, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place. Every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day, it came out where it was fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
President, and debunked. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran. I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought they were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. The idea he's talking about all this being fabricated. We saw it with our own eyes. We saw it happen on January 6th. We saw the people facing.
There's a lot of evidence we saw. You're right.
There's a reason why.
But not what do you think it happened?
Cabinet officers refused to endorse him. Vice President hasn't endorsed him. Why? They know him well.
Well, we know why.
Why are they not endorsing him?
Thank you, President.
Every one of them's crooked as shit.
From the CNN presidential debate.
They're all crooked. All right, let's mute this while they're at it.
So is this so far everything that you hoped it would be?
I was hoping for a little more theatrics, but it's going all right. So
well, yeah, I mean,
the guy is just, he's
so
dumber than all shit.
I actually like the fact that they do this because that gives Biden a chance to go.
It's making it clean.
Yeah. So the last
it's letting
time,
him fumble up.
The last time I was like, dude, just let him freaking talk.
Yeah, let him talk himself into a grave.
Yes.
Yep.
Even the last time it wasn't as bad as this, but it was still, you could tell. Because I remember watching like the first 30 minutes of the debate, I was like, wow, Biden's on point. And then after the 30 minutes, like all that stuff wore off, and it was like, oh crap, here it comes.
The look in his eyes throughout the whole, like whenever Trump is talking, it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
He's so lost. He just like makes the funniest faces at him and shit, bro. When he says like real shit.
Yeah.
He's just dumb, bro. Like this guy's not fit to be president.
But yeah, so the last one, Trump kept chiming in, and I was like, you got to just let him talk. Like it's not helping you at all. But this, now that they have muted it, he knows that they muted it, so he's not trying to chime in. And then I think he gets a second to process what he's saying, and he can actually rebut, everything that he's saying. So, oh man, this is crazy. This is freaking. It's entertainment, though, honestly, which is sad. But
he gets away with playing lies, bro. Like even like these whatever they call them, the moderators. They should be fucking like.
Gotta watch the
moderating. You know what I mean? Yeah, I guess. But it's just ridiculous. It's like the lies that he says, the things that have truly been debunked, or if you just go watch the actual footage yourself and not like watch the cut from CNN or somebody else, it's clear as day.
Yep.
Everything he's saying, that racist card, that's long gone, bro. You can't play that racist card anymore. Nobody's buying it, especially the minorities.
No, I mean, and
there's a few dumb ones left, but that's it.
Well, everything's out there in the open now, especially with X being, not throttled anymore. Like you can see everything without it cut and edited, and that whole play is just played out. Can't do it anymore. But this is freaking so awesome. I'm having fun, you guys. If those of you guys that are watching, I'm having a blast watching. This is awesome. I never thought I'd be so into politics, but this is some entertainment. Which again, it's sad that it's like really like fun to watch and it's entertaining because this is like the future of the United States. But still, it's like.
But we really are in like the worst position we've ever been in, bro. At least in my lifetime.
Yeah,
we're in a really bad place in this country. It's crazy that anyone defends that.
Yeah,
just watching it's embarrassing, bro. Like you honestly think pulling fucking cards in the White House, making calls and doing things correctly? No way, man.
Well, so much stuff gets swept under the rug. Like, did we ever figure out whose little baggie of cocaine was that in the White House?
Oh, bro, it's happened like 4 times now. And recently they just had another one.
Dude,
it happened like 4 times. I think it's clear who it belongs to now.
That picture, that video of Hunter, I think it was like 4th of July. It was like
it was Easter.
It was right around when they found that baggie of cocaine. He was just like going like this, like
when he was up on the balcony.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god, dude, that dude is pinned right now. And then you got the Hunter Biden laptop story and everything else.
Coming back.
Welcome back to the CNN presidential.
Switch it over to you. I gotta go pee again.
From Georgia. Let's talk about persistent challenges you both faced in your first term, and you'd certainly face again in the second term. President Biden, while Black unemployment dropped to a record low under your presidency, Black families still earn far less than white families. Black mothers are still 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes, and Black Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate of white Americans. What do you say to Black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
I acknowledge you made a lot of progress, number one. Fact of the matter is, the more small Black businesses that have been started at any time in history. Number 2, the wages of Black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long time. Number 3, we're trying to provide housing for Black Americans and dealing with the segregation that exists in these corporate races include to keep us out of their houses. And in addition to that, we find that the impact of the choice that families have to make to child care is incredibly difficult. We did the first major piece of legislation in the past. We were able to reduce Black child care company in half. We're going to make sure child care. We're going to make sure that we provide that child care protection. We're going to increase the dollar. So there's more to be done. Considering we've done a great deal so far.
I would be interested to find out if that's true, if you actually did that or not.
39 seconds left. What do you say to Black?
If that's true, that's awesome, but I don't know if that's true.
I say I don't think it could be disappointed. Inflation is still badly. For example,
oh, now there's inflation.
Oh, Bidenomics.
Tax credit to be able to first home so they can get started. I made sure there was situation for the families like individuals provided that had to take out school fees, have money, and if they got gays and nursing, anything having to do with materials, if they paid their bills for 10 years, with student debt, all the rest is forgiven after 10 years. Maybe that's benefit from that. And we're going to do a whole like family.
Thank you, President Trump.
And he caused the inflation. He's blaming inflation, and he's right, it's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing Black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled, tripled.
That's true.
They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New Scam and all of the other money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill for Black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking Black jobs now. And it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking Black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you. President Biden?
We rolled through inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 50% unemployment. He decimated the economy. That's when he decimated the economy.
COVID.
That's why there was no inflation.
That would be COVID.
There were no jobs. But it's thousands of millions of jobs for individuals, including the community, including minority community.
We be playing that card, man.
We have covered, the ACA has increased, made sure that there's 8,000.
It shut the country down at that time.
Yeah.
Get written off of health care. This guy wants to eliminate that. They've tried 50 times. He wants to get rid of the ACA again. We're going to try again if they would. We're in a position where the idea that we're not doing it. I put more police on the street than any administration had to cut the cops, to providing for
Whoa!
equity and making sure
Where did the defund the police come from?
Right out of the Marxist book. Accuse your enemies of everything you're doing.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis. 2023 was the
Oh,
hottest year in recorded history.
you gotta be kidding me.
Communities across the
Not in North Dakota.
The devastating effects of extreme heat, intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea
Oh
levels.
my gosh.
Former President Trump, you vowed to end your opponent's climate initiative, but will you take any action as president to solve the climate crisis?
Let me just go back to what he said about police. Close the police are to him. Almost every police force in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that. Super predators was his name. And he called it to them, and they've taken great offense at it. And now they see it happening. But when they see what I did to criminal justice reform,
they're going to make hella memes out of this.
Black colleges and universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job. Great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country. Opportunity zones, and the biggest beneficiary are blacks, and that's why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever the best numbers. He's lost much of the black population because he's done a horrible job for black people. He's also done a horrible job for Hispanics. But when you see these millions of people pouring into our country and they're going to take the jobs, and it's already started, and you haven't seen anything yet, it's a disaster.
38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president for the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever. And we
had the best air ever.
All forms of energy, everything. And yet, during my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever. And my top environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually. I don't know what the hell he did. Extensive climate change legislation in history. The history. Turned ourselves, by the way, my colleges, I came up with $15 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges, because they don't have the kind of contributors that they have to build these laboratories. Any black student is capable of college of doing any white student can do. They just have the money, but not to be able to get those jobs in high tech. We're in a situation where the idea that he is claiming to have done something to have cleaned this water. They done a damn thing in this time. The Paris Peace Accord, the climate accord, I immediately joined it. Because if we reach 1.5 degrees Celsius, then anyone would go way back. The only existential threat to humanity is climate change, and he didn't do a damn thing about it. I'm going to do all that I've done. Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion, and China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. It was a ripple of the United States.
Yep.
And I ended it because I didn't want to waste it.
The biggest contributors to pollution right there.
It was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it. And it was a disaster. Everything that he said just now, I'll give you an example. I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors.
Yeah, he did. That's true.
What he's doing is destroying all the medical programs because the migrants coming in, they want everybody. And look, I have the biggest heart on the stage. I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. We're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. The idea is that we, in fact, we were members of Constance. We're not members of Paris. How can we do anything if you're not able to going to move in directions that are going to significantly change the elements of the quality function. But the idea that he claims that he has the biggest heart up here and he's really concerned about pollution and about climate, I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay that. And by the way,
mute.
So every day, millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut in just over 10 years. Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
Yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income, their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck from the time the first one they get from 18 years old. The idea that they're going to, I agree completely that everybody, they pay, millionaires pay 1%. So no one after, could not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000 after that. It began to make it began to pay their fair
You couldn't do that in the first 4 years?
1% beyond.
No, let's just send all of our money overseas.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security solvent? Just that one enough?
Well, that one enough will keep it solvent. But the biggest thing will be we defeat this man because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. We're going to cut Social Security and Medicare both times. And if you look at the program put forward by the House Republican caucus that he supports, is in fact want to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the way, American public has greater health care coverage today than ever before. And on the AC, as I said, we're in a circumstance where 400,000 people, 40 million people, will not have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. The only allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they, in fact, are part of the ACA. And by the way, the other thing is, we're in a situation where we talk about education for Black communities. I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants.
He's rambling.
Anybody making under $70,000 a year could be able to get $15,000 towards the tuition. He just doesn't know just do that.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He can look you in the face. So many other things too. We mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation.
Get to the question, Trump.
The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security.
There you go.
He's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country, and they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the place of our citizens there. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden.
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of. I told you before. By the way, when I said sucker, he said he acknowledged after that he fired that gentleman. That gentleman got fired. Because he's the one who's acknowledged that that's what he said.
You're fired.
Standing with Trump when he said it. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation where all these millions and millions of he talks about illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world. The reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony, the 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we'd like to have a recession, and inflation is going to increasingly go up. By the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted to him the worst president in the history of the United States
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's turn to the cost of child care, which many American families struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of child care in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child for many families. The cost of child care for 2 children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make child care more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected.
Okay, move on from that.
The other thing is, he doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. They had price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't fire them. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with that Afghanistan horror show. The most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed? Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He's the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. He's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters.
All right, I want to hear about child care.
We just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is. He is the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We're the most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We're the finest military in the history of the world. The finest in the history of the world. No one thinks of me. No one will be screwed around with it. Nobody. Number 2, the idea
used to be that way.
we're talking about worst president. I wasn't joking. Look it up. It's online. 159 or something.
Everything online is true. Did you know that?
Right.
That's a story.
Unless it's about them.
Yeah.
The worst president in American history. One to best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he is willing to do anything to deal with child care. He did virtually nothing to child care. We should significantly increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back to work. And we should encourage businesses to hold and have.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make child care more affordable? I think you're going to.
Just so you understand, we have homes, we have other things that they rate him the worst because what he's done is so bad. And they rate me, I'll show you, I will show you, and they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best.
Trump dog, you got to address the child tax credit
created
issue
an economy
here.
like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times.
Child care
He
is
wants to raise everybody's
expensive.
taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the 2 of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life, I grow up and I see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden? Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about it. He's increased the taxes on the past people. I said I'd never raise the tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. This tariff is 10% tariff. Everything coming into the country, you know what they're coming to say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference and all the things. Number 2, he's in a situation where he talks about how he is
Thank you, President Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Finish up. We now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China.
This is what I don't like, is when they don't address the question. You know what I mean?
Bringing so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries, and there was more to come. He hasn't done that. He hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because there's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst situation with China. China's going to own us if you keep allowing them.
You gotta address the question,
do what
man.
they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us
Come
as
on,
a country,
man.
Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then we had to get tough. And it was the drugs flowing across the border. It started to increase. We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog. It's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot. And we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low, because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways.
That's true.
But the numbers of the amount of drug and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen.
Oh, my God.
And numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border
that's
now
also
is
true.
the largest we've ever had by far.
Smuggling is
Thank you, President Biden.
ridiculous.
Byproduct fentanyl went down. And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl. These big machines that roll around across the border.
What?
And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together.
What about the people that get away from Border Patrol?
Fentanyl machines.
The whole point, trying to avoid detection.
Numbers of agents, more members. And when we had that deal done, he went and told the car and said, "Don't do it. It's going to hurt me." But he never argued it's not a good deal. It's a really good deal. We need those machines. We need those machines. We're coming down very hard in every country in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl. And Mexico is working with us to make sure we don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, and again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now struggling to get the treatment they need.
Because this does pertain to it. He ended remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made a catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here.
Yep,
We
that's
had
true.
so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say it's a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter. I think a good guy, and he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars. The reporter. I will have him out very quickly as soon as I take office. Before I take office, I said, I literally, as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago. But Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time.
Or another merchant of death, you know.
$6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dan?
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you. President Biden,
Ooh.
you would be 86 at the end of your second term. How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
First of all, I spent half my career in being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger, and I'm all less confident.
No way.
You didn't just say that. Horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, investment in America, billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought all foreign people. The whole idea, computer chips, we used to have 3% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and bring home a product. So I went to South Korea and convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And then, guess what? Those fabs, they call them, to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. They don't need a college degree for it. There's billions, like $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that somehow we are this failing country. I've heard a president talk like this before. We're the Indian war, maybe a single major country president would trade places with the United States of America. All our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world that anything has done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're the country in the world that keeps our word. And everybody trusts us. Our allies.
Is that why everybody is trying to get away from the dollar?
Yeah, because they trust it.
They don't want to screw around.
Thank you. Former President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one. That's an easy one. I go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. I took physical exams every year.
That guy's not funny.
We're not going to wood, we may have wood, and I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. You can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. You can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I'm in good shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced them. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's great guy when he was White House doctor, and then I took another one, a similar one. And both of them said they'd never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds. 235.
What?
He said 6'4", 200. Anyway, that figure. I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, and I was vice president down to a 6.
This is what we're talking about in a presidential debate. Come on, guys.
I'm happy to take off if you carry your own bag.
Ah!
It's a 6 handicap.
I was at 8 handicap.
Oh my God, this is crazy.
I've seen you swing. I know you swing. Let's not act like Joe.
President Trump, we're going to
Let's not act like Joe.
you a specific about you. You pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable.
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you could see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent. Because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. The only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III.
Remember they said that Trump was going to do that?
And Kim Jong-un.
Look at that poll on the bottom. You see that?
Of China, Kim
of who's winning?
Korea, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have
it has Biden winning?
This gentleman.
No, he has 5%.
World War III. World War III. You follow and win and let them say do what you want, they don't.
Trump's killing
them. Look at this side.
Attack on one is attack on all. Required response. The idea. I can't think of a single major leader in the world who would trade place for the job I've done, what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful things. Because of the people. Because of the American people. They're capable of anything. They step up when they're needed. And right now, we need it. We need it to protect the world because our own safety is at stake. And again, we want to have a world just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they see what happens in Hungary, another place in the world. Then you have a world.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might. Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. Not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well. He knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. Now he's going to take the whole thing. This man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you asked me a question before, would you do this with? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia. Because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people. And they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked.
President Trump, the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no?
They really want to hammer that.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week. We'll have another one of these on in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level. Because the people understand it. Let's see what your numbers are. Election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. You lost the first time. You continue to appeal to the federal courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local. None. You continue to provoke this lie. Somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt we will accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accept it, you can't stand it all. Something's snapping you.
We'll be right back with more from the CNN Presidential Debate live from Georgia.
Wow.
How long is it? 2 hours?
I think it's an hour thought it was about 90 minutes. Pretty sure. But
Man, it's this guy.
crazy.
It's 95 to 5 right now in the for damn.
Isn't that funny?
He's so lost. It's so crazy how fucking incoherent this guy is to everything.
I think they must be running late. I wonder because it says it's supposed to run 90 minutes, but there's 2 commercial breaks. This is the second commercial break. Oh my God, this is funny. They're talking about who's better golfer.
That was.
Oh my God. Well, you carry home big.
I love that. I love
That's what I want to
that
know.
he called Trump incompetent.
Oh yeah.
He's like he's so incompetent. He's not even. We're just like,
The bold word.
everything that he's guilty of, he accuses Trump of.
Yeah.
Everything.
Or he tries to take credit for a bunch of stuff. Very strange.
Big time.
Very strange. But this is entertaining as hell.
His face, I can't get over.
Yeah,
the looks on his yes, bro. His
the expressions are killing me.
Insane.
So
his eyes go all big. It's just...
I don't know if it can, everybody that watching, if you can see the poll or whatever, but they're asking who's winning the debate. It's 95% Trump to 5% Biden.
And that's because people know he's lying. You know? Everyone knows it. They're like so delusional, or they just don't care because they're so wicked that it's obvious they're lying.
Yeah.
And they just don't seem to blink an eye at it, bro. Everyone knows they're full.
Well, dude, we're not even in, like, if you think it's only the end of June.
Yeah.
And he can barely carry on a sentence, right? So you have to make it to the first year of your second term.
Bro. They're going to swap him out.
I don't know.
There's no way the guy we're watching right now is going to make it all the way to the actual.
I don't know.
Like, no way.
I don't. Well, if they do, it's going to be.
It ain't going to be.
You're getting that cream pie.
Newsom's trash. Nobody cares.
You're getting
nobody
that cream
knows
pie.
who he is or gives a rat. Their only and best option would be Michelle Obama. 100% that would be their best bet. That could sway so many votes. That's why they've kept her and Obama out of the spotlight for the most part, because they think that people will be like, a sigh of relief.
I think if it was her, she would be out doing stuff.
Nope. I think the biggest thing is the old switcheroo, bro. She shows up out of nowhere. It's this big shock. Everyone's like, wait, what? Wait, maybe this is the best bet. It's her. She's better than Trump, at least. And they sway a whole bunch of people over to the other side by default, man. Like, that's what I believe they're going to try to do.
Dude, if you're right, I'll be like, oh my God, you're right.
If I'm right, you'll be cream pied up.
Yep, I will get that juicy cream pie, but
just watch.
I'm pretty sure it's not going to be.
It is now time for the candidates to deliver their closing statements as predetermined by a coin toss. We're going to begin with you, President Biden. You have 2 minutes.
We've made significant progress by President Trump in this last year. Finding ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone out there in the audience, if anyone out watching this debate, do you think the tax system is fair?
Nope.
Fact is, as I said, nobody who's making a $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes. And if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy
we're already taxed too much.
Taxes because of the deficit. The increased inflation because of the debacle he left after where he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you with a 10% tariff on everything that comes in the United States of America. And I did, for example, I used to get rid of the ability of Medicare to the ability for the to be able to negotiate drug pricing with pharma companies. And guess what? We got it down to $35. This was at $14.
He's talking about taxes, and then he went to the insulin prices.
No matter what how much pressure they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion because the government doesn't pay you prices. We make that available to every senior. Happening now, and everybody in America to get rid of that. We're going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credit people have for child care. We're going to make sure we do something on lead pipes and things that are causing health problems for people across the country.
Really? What about that $2.7 trillion infrastructure bill?
You now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do, all he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to fall in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terrorists, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all the stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you. And they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like. Even from the medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible choice for our soldiers. Where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former President Trump, President Biden. Stay with us because we have full analysis of this debate. Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett start now.
Well, first debate in the books.
Interesting.
Was it everything you expected it to be?
Nah, I thought he was going to fumble way harder than he did.
He did stay on point pretty good.
But he didn't make fucking sense, and he didn't make good arguments, and he blatantly lied.
It still was a lot of rambling, but he didn't fumble.
He stayed pretty
as much as I thought.
Yeah, pretty clean. But yeah, he lied the entire time.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because everyone sees that now. Everyone knows.
Well, it's like you can real-time fact check now without being manipulated by stuff. Yeah. Oofda.
Crazy.
Yeah. So the next one is not until September or October.
October.
Yeah. That's wild that they wait that long.
Because they got to bring in their new candidate to face them.
I don't know, man. We'll see.
Yeah, we will.
The thing that I'm curious about is there's been a lot of people thinking that Kamala Harris is hurting Biden by having her as the VP. So they want to swap her out with somebody more likable. Perhaps they put Michelle Obama as the VP.
Maybe.
You still get a cream pie.
Yeah,
No.
That,
you get that doesn't count. Nope, that doesn't count.
VP,
that doesn't count.
The backbone.
Nope.
They put her in VP so that he can die and she can become president.
Nope. You still get a cream pie.
But he's not going to win.
That was the deal.
That's not their game, bro. That's not their game plan. He won't win as president. There's no way that they're going to let her just be the VP. She's going to be the candidate.
What's interesting is after this debate, which clearly the majority of people thought that Trump won. So it'll be interesting to see if they switch things up now. Like, oh crap, we are not looking good. We are not looking good right now. We're gonna have to make a drastic change somewhere. So we'll see what happens.
I don't think they're doing it like this. So I don't think they're waiting to the last minute. They have a plan, and they're playing the plan out right now.
But I thought
whole debate was
yeah,
all
it could
part
be.
of the plan.
It could be. But I thought that if they were going to make a switcheroo, that it would have happened already because they still have to go out and campaign and do all that stuff.
Out of Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
She won't have to campaign. She just has to show up, bro. You watch. And I'm not saying she's the good candidate and she's the right choice whatsoever, but I think that
the 8 years of Obama was not great.
Right. They'll sway a lot of votes in her favor. They're going to get women. They're going to get some of the minority group again because that's why they've kept them out of the spotlight. Primarily her, bro. She's been ghost.
I've been seeing a lot of people thinking that Hillary Clinton was going to make a resurgence.
Everyone hates her.
Yeah.
Everyone hates her, and everyone knows she's wicked and evil. Like there's no way.
Yeah. I would be shocked. I would be shocked if that was the choice. But
actually, yeah. Well, shut her down.
Yep.
That was our first attempt at a live, so we apologize. Cody didn't know what the hell he was doing up here behind the computer.
We had some technical difficulties.
Yeah, hopefully the sound isn't too bad. I'm not sure how this is going to edit out. I'm sure it'll just be posted live on YouTube the way it was. Unless I have an opportunity to edit it prior, I'll touch it up. But yeah, that was that. We appreciate you guys checking us out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about us. Don't tell your friends about us. Talk good, talk bad. Doesn't really matter as long as you're talking about us. You're out. Peace.